Have you ever been in love with someone who made you feel like you were the most important person in their world, only to one day feel like you didn't even matter? It's strange, isn't it? How fast things can change. One moment, you're laughing with them, building dreams together, feeling safe in their presence. And then, slowly, everything starts to fade. The messages get shorter. The warmth disappears. The way they look at you changes. And you're left wondering, was any of it ever real? That feeling, of being used, of being emotionally tricked, is something more people go through than we realize. And it doesn't just happen in ordinary relationships. It happens everywhere. Even to people you'd never expect. People like Johnny Depp. When someone like Johnny, an actor with worldwide fame, money, and millions of admirers, talks about being caught in a relationship that wasn't built on real love, it makes you stop and think. If it can happen to him, it can happen to anyone. What Johnny said recently didn't come from a place of anger. It came from a place of deep reflection. From going through something painful and learning from it. He exposed a truth that many of us keep buried, that not all love is real. That sometimes what we think is love, is just a beautiful lie. He talked about how fake love often starts like a fantasy. It sweeps you off your feet. It makes you feel seen, heard, and chosen. In those early days, everything feels perfect. They say the right things. Do the right things. They make you feel like you're their entire world. And you believe it. Why wouldn't you? It feels real. It feels magical. But over time, things change. Subtly at first. Maybe they start getting irritated over small things. Maybe they pull away when you need them most. They become inconsistent. One day they're warm and loving, the next they're cold and distant. You tell yourself they're just stressed. You blame work, family, anything other than the truth. You hold on because of the way they made you feel in the beginning. You keep chasing that first version of them, hoping it'll come back. Johnny said something that really struck a chord: they make you feel like the center of the universe, until you're no longer useful. That one sentence is enough to send shivers down your spine. Because it's true. Fake love doesn't care about who you are. It only cares about what you can give. The attention, the validation, the loyalty, when it benefits them, they want it all. But the moment you ask for something real in return, emotional safety, understanding, consistency, they disappear. Or worse, they make you feel guilty for asking. Think about it. Have you ever been made to feel like you were too much for simply wanting clarity? For wanting to feel secure? For needing someone to show up for you in a real way? That's what fake love does. It turns your natural needs into burdens. It makes you doubt yourself. You end up apologizing for things that aren't even wrong. You stop speaking up just to keep the peace. And little by little, you shrink yourself to fit into a version of love that isn't even real. Johnny talked about the emotional manipulation that can be disguised as passion. The gaslighting. The twisting of reality. The way your words get turned against you. The way your memories are questioned. The way you're made to feel like you're always the one who's wrong. You know that feeling, don't you? That moment when you start to second-guess your own thoughts. When you ask yourself, am I crazy? Did I imagine that? Maybe I'm just being sensitive. That's not love. That's control. And here's the worst part, because it's emotional, it's easy to ignore. Easy to justify. There are no bruises. No screaming matches in public. No obvious abuse. Just little things. Quiet hurts. Subtle digs. Cold shoulders. Silent punishments. And it wears you down. Johnny admitted that he stayed too long. He held on longer than he should have. Why? Because he believed in the version of that person he first met. He believed the love was real, even when all the signs pointed to something else. And that's what fake love does, it keeps you hoping. It feeds you just enough to keep you around, but never enough to make you feel whole. It's a painful cycle. You're up one day, down the next. You feel adored, then abandoned. You live in confusion. And all the while, you keep telling yourself, it's going to get better. They just need time. They'll change. But deep down, a part of you knows, they won't. Eventually, Johnny had to walk away. And walking away wasn't easy. Not for him, and not for anyone who's ever truly loved someone who wasn't good for them. He did it under the harsh light of public scrutiny. With people watching, judging, speculating. And still, he chose to put his peace above the performance. Above what people thought. Above how it looked from the outside. That takes strength most people never get credit for. And when he said, "I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not," it hit hard. Because how many of us pretend in relationships? Pretend to be okay. Pretend we're not hurt. Pretend to be fine with things we're not. All to keep someone around. All to avoid being alone. All to hold on to something that's already falling apart. But the truth is, the longer you hold on to fake love, the further you drift from yourself. You lose your voice. Your light. Your sense of peace. And love should never cost you that. Johnny's story is a mirror. It shows us what we often avoid. But it also gives us a way forward. So let's talk about the signs, the red flags, the little clues that tell you the love you're in might not be what it seems. First, pay attention to actions, not words. Anyone can say, "I love you." Anyone can make big romantic gestures. But what really matters is how they treat you on the ordinary days. Are they there when it's inconvenient? Do they listen when you speak? Do they make you feel safe when you're vulnerable? Or do they make you feel like a burden? Johnny learned the hard way that words are easy. But actions, those reveal the truth. And if the actions don't match the promises, that's not love. That's manipulation. Next, trust your gut. That quiet little voice inside you? It's smarter than you think. Johnny said he felt things were off early on but pushed it aside. He told himself he was overthinking. But looking back, he knew, his intuition had been right all along. Have you ever felt that? That unease? That sense that something just wasn't adding up? But instead of listening to it, you convinced yourself you were being dramatic? That's the trap. Fake love makes you silence your own wisdom. Another big clue? The love feels conditional. You're loved only when you're pleasing. Only when you're quiet. Only when you're doing everything right. But the moment you challenge them, speak up, ask for more, they withdraw. They punish you emotionally. They stop being kind. That's not love. That's emotional control. Johnny talked about how fake love doesn't want a partner, it wants a puppet. Someone to adore them, validate them, follow their lead. But love isn't supposed to feel like a job. It's not supposed to feel like a test you're always failing. Real love embraces your flaws. It supports your growth. It doesn't ask you to shrink. And let's talk about the way fake love reacts to your success. If they get jealous when you're doing well, if they compete with your happiness, if they act distant when you're thriving, that's not love. That's insecurity in disguise. Johnny's pain came not just from the betrayal, but from realizing how long he ignored what he already knew deep down. And that's what hurts the most sometimes, not what they did, but how long we tolerated it. How long we convinced ourselves it was okay. That we were okay. But healing begins the moment we stop lying to ourselves. The moment we say, "This isn't love. And I deserve better." You might not realize how strong you are until leaving becomes the only way to survive. But once you do, once you walk away from the chaos, the confusion, the constant emotional games, you start to feel peace again. You start to remember who you were before the pain. And that version of you? They're still in there, waiting to come back. Johnny didn't just walk away from someone. He walked back to himself. To his truth. To his peace. And you can too. So now I want to ask you, have you ever stayed in a relationship just because you hoped the good version of them would come back? Did you ever feel like you were giving everything and still coming up empty? That's not love failing you. That's fake love keeping you stuck. You deserve love that's steady. Kind. Honest. You deserve to be heard, not silenced. Celebrated, not compared. Held, not handled. You deserve the kind of love that doesn't ask you to hide the best parts of yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. And here's the truth, walking away from fake love is not a failure. It's freedom. It's strength. It's the beginning of something real. So, if you're sitting there wondering whether you should stay or go, if you're doubting yourself, questioning your worth, feeling exhausted from trying to make something work that just keeps hurting, this is your reminder. You don't have to wait for someone else to change to start healing. You don't need their permission to choose peace. You can let go now. And that choice is valid. Brave. Beautiful. If this message resonates with you, take a deep breath. You're not broken. You're becoming. You're waking up. And that is something worth celebrating. Leave a comment below. What's one lesson you've learned from a love that turned out to be fake? Let's build a space where we support each other. Where healing becomes something we do together. And if you're ready to keep growing, to keep learning how to love yourself better, check out the next video. It's waiting for you with more truth, more healing, more clarity. Hit the like button if this helped. Subscribe if you want more honest conversations like this. And share it with someone who might need to hear that they're not alone. Real love is out there. But it starts with you choosing it first, from within. And never forget, they can fake the words, but they can't fake your peace. Choose yourself. Always.